of certain people in these countries, and certain leaders and leaders in almost in every nation in Africa, the way they operate. And I said, in fact, one question, this I didn't ask them these questions, but I want to throw that to explain. In Africa, most of us grew up around monkey and then chimpanzee and animals, and then we find that if you do a game with a monkey, and you can try that, and then you take something that is edible, take it and give it to the monkey, and the monkey eats it and like it, and it tastes good and they like it. Then you take another one, you put it in your hand, you take it, put it in the other one, fold it and put it in another one, fold. So you play a game like this to see, and the monkey will just be turning the head, following you to see what you do, and then we do your hands like this and say, so that's a monkey to pick the one where the food or the treat is. The monkey, the first time you will fool the monkey, the second time you will not fool the monkey again. He will get it right, gets it right, and pick the one where the item, the treat is. So I say this to explain that when we play this game, and it shows how the mind and how intelligent a monkey or a chimpanzee is. And I say now, if you look at the leaders we have in our country and see the way they operate today, we talk about immigration. So what do you think? Now, in a country like Nigeria, there is a big debate going on right now, where you find that a lot of people are upset and angry. Biafrans want their own nation, or Oduduwa wants their own nation. The people from Delta want their own nation. Arewa, So when you look at this now, and then you complaints about the Fulanis controlling every affairs, they are controlling the herdsmen coming in, taking over the farmlands, and trespassing in people's private properties, and the borders are open, and all these foreign Fulanis are coming in with all their heads, and they killing people, they causing mayhem, and etc. And I say, so that must be also justified that Buhari should take no decisions, and the government in Africa should allow them to rampage and disrespect people's property and kill their children and their mothers and their families and take over their land. They've taken over the land, the landways, they've taken over the roads, they take over the farms, they take over the compound, they take over your ancestral lands and take over your inheritance, your compound, and take over your waterways. And of course, the answer that I get is, oh, that's different. And then what about in Cameroon? What about in Ethiopia? And what about in Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, and all the nations of Africa? So in that case, that should be borderless. Everybody should be free to go to everywhere, and they can live wherever they want and do whatever they want. And of course, that is different. So I'm getting to somewhere so that you can see that when, as a group, the group thinking and what it does. Then my third question is this. So is it proper for immigrants, us that come into America, then, if it's different, if it's different in Africa, and people should not be allowed to be freely move from country to country and take over people's land? So that means that those of us that came here should also take the land and take over everything from this country. So what about the African Americans, the Hispanics, and the Indians and the Africans, those that were actually born here? Should they also not be entitled to have a job? Because if it is not okay for them to do what they're doing in Africa, is that okay for them to do it here? Kill people, do stuff? Or is there any way for the immigration policy to actually address some of these other criminal activities and these illegal activities, and these things can come normally as a people? To the people, since they are the host and we all come to this country, and we know that the way the immigrants are coming in, they are brought in droves so that they can come to work in different areas and take over the job that mostly, especially African Americans, that has been marginalized for so long and worked so hard in building this country. And of course, the answer is usually, oh, they don't want to work. These are jobs that they don't want anyway, and they don't want to work. Okay, they don't want to work. So could somebody say the same thing about the places in Africa where people are migrating and moving? So now, if that is the case, that they don't want the job, could also other people make the same argument about those that are crossing the borders and going to cause mayhem in other nations and other tribes and other places. Of course, there's no comparison is usually what I get. There's no comparison. Here, people are coming here because they want to work, they want to survive. So now the question again I want to ask, what about those that are here legally? Those of us that are here legally, and those of us, people from other countries that are here legally, and they are working, they are waiting in the process for them to get their papers, and then suddenly all these other activities that are being restricted are taking resources away from the government, which is, should be applied to those that come here legally. So will that also be proper and appropriate? Of course, the question is, oh, those ones are not important to him either. Of course, Donald Trump also wants to deport them. He doesn't want any immigrants here. So now the question is that a fact? Because nobody could give me any facts or any reference to the evidence to show what is happening, and that is the case. That there is no other reason other than the reason that is given in the executive orders that is being issued as a result of the issues that was at hand. So now the question is this. So how does that impact African Americans and the other minorities that are here? Now, if, in fact, not just African Americans, all the immigrants that are born here, that live here, and that legal here, or citizens here, and etc. Does that affect them or impact them at all? Of course, people don't look at it. Well, I'm asking these questions because in my second book, actually titled The Lost Legacy, I did a very extensive research into these areas and into immigration, and which is available in that book. So I don't want to get into the statistics, but because I want to make a comparison that sometimes people make statements, need to actually look deeper than what is the superficial in order to make decisions. And how does that actually affect us as a group of people in terms of policies that affect us, even though we don't, we have a different views about this, because people need to think about all that too in the positions they take, because elections have consequences, and decisions and policies also has impact on people's life. So now that's my question to a lot of people that are from Africa, for in the way they are thinking and evaluating themselves, to think about the people who are originally here and those that all of us that came here. So the another question again, that if all this is irrelevant, how again do you think the Lord himself looks at this whole thing?